Hello, so today's video we're going to be talking about how to collect water off grid. So if you're off grid, there's a few different ways of getting your water. You could always try to collect rainwater, but there's always going to be a dry spell unless you live in a very damp, wet environment where it rains often consistently. So that is one method. Another method would be having a well. And then the third method, which is probably going to be the most common, is being set up near some sort of water source, whether that's a creek, a river, a stream, a lake. And when you have that water, once you've collected it, whether it's rainwater, whether it's snow, whether it's whatever it is, you're going to need a way to purify it or clean it up of potential bacteria. A lot of people, they think rainwater, totally safe. It falls from the sky, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you have a big barrel, you're collecting it in, who's to say that a bug hasn't gone in there and died? Or mosquitoes haven't started, putting larvae in there. Or who knows what, right? Maybe a bird shit on the roof, and now that's in you collect from the roof. So the water drips on the roof. Bird shat on there earlier. It goes down into your eaves trough and into your water collection barrel. If you've got a lake, whatever, it's all self-explanatory. You need to purify your water. Even snow, even if fresh snow is typically safe, but even that can be questionable, depending on whether an animal's been through that area before and left pee. It also soaks up different types of contaminants, stuff like that. So you need to filter your water. So once you've collected your water from any one of those methods, you're going to need a way to filter it, purify it, sanitize, whatever you want to call it. So there's three main methods. Boiling, which is the most common and typically the easiest method. You take some sort of metal container, you put your water in it, or your source of water in it, you boil it for about 10 minutes, and there you go. So it's pretty simple, and it works. But two things to consider about it. It uses a lot of fuel. It uses a lot of fuel to bring water to a boil consistently for 10 minutes. So fuel is a big resource out here. Wood, all that, and this and that. You don't want to, have to chop down to burn, 400 calories just to have, say a liter of water, boiling a liter of water, right? So, and that's not going to replenish probably as much as it took to get but you get the point I'm trying to make. Maybe I'm wrong about those calculations or comparisons, but the point is it takes a lot of fuel. So you need to ask yourself, is that something or a resource I can expend right now? Second thing is taste. Boiling water usually ends up with it tasting like shit unless the source of the water tastes good. Even snow in the middle of nowhere usually end up tasting a bit like dirt or a bit like ozone, something. It doesn't taste quite good. So boiling water, it has its ups and its downs. So many people that boil water, they'll typically filter it through a piece of cloth or coffee filters, anything like that, and then they'll boil it, and that removes some of the larger sediment. But you could always just boil it and then just drink it, even if there's a bit of sediment in there. If it's been boiled, it's clean, it's safe. Next common thing is filters. Filters, very simple to use. They make all types of filters, anything from a Sawyer to whatever, right? There's all these different types of filters out there. They tend to be really good, and they do their job. One thing, though, is to make sure that your filter is rated for certain types of viruses, bacteria, so the different micron ratings and all that, 99% or 99.9% of all bacteria and stuff like that. You want to look into those things, so maybe if you have some sort of weird virus that lives in your water and you want to filter that out, and say you buy a Sawyer Mini which only filters bacteria, well, you're going to want to, you're going to get sick if you don't pay attention to that. So look into that. But other than that, it's a good method. It's not as sustainable. A pot will last forever if it's kept right and doesn't get burned. And then a filter, though, needs to be replaced, every few years or so. So that's something to consider. And then the third option is purification drops. Typically, that's what I like to use because when I'm melting snow, well, right now, that's what I like to use because when I'm melting snow, I don't like to put all that extra energy into boiling it. So I'll melt it down, I'll put some water purification drops in, and it's good to go. It doesn't help with the taste, doesn't get filtered, but it's safe drinking water at that point. But purification drops, they need to be replenished. You're going to go through them. They're not, they're going to work almost 100% of the time to kill pretty much everything in there. So that's one good thing about purification drops, is they're very much like boiling without expending the energy. But again, it's a consumable resource, so you're not going to be doing that all the time if you're in a situation where you can't get resupplied often. So at the end of the day, those are just the pros and cons. So you've got boiling, filtering, and purification drops. You can figure out which one is the best for you in your situation. I suggest, instead of going all off grid and being like, I'm not going to use anything but filter and boil at the same time, just filter it through a cloth and boil it. You might find you're not liking the taste so much, and you're kind of regretting you didn't just go buy a Brita filter. Just because you're living off grid doesn't mean you've got to conform with the ways of the 1800s. It just means you've got to, live off grid and make do with what you got. And then if, your supplies don't come in or whatever, you can't get supplies, you make do with what you got. But while you have it, it's a nice to have. Why not use it? So anyway, I want to talk about melting snow for water, because that's specifically what I'm doing right now. So what's good about melting snow is in the winter it's very abundant in northern climates. So northern climates, even southern, I guess, during our summers, but winter snow can be a very good resource for water. There's usually thousands of liters all around everywhere you go. So it's a great resource, but it does taste like dirt and ozone, which I mentioned earlier. So melting snow is good. But if you're going to melt your snow, don't eat it. Don't just eat snow. It will dehydrate you further. It takes more energy and more body heat and more calories to actually melt that snow in your mouth than it does to just melt it and drink it. If you are going to eat snow, what you do is you take the snow in your hand. Your hands are going to get freezing, by the way, so make sure you've got something to warm them up afterwards. But you grab a handful and you just sort of squeeze it until it starts to melt, and then you can drink the water in your hand from your hand melting it. But you don't want to use your mouth or put the snow in your mouth and just eat it. It's not good for you. It can dehydrate you, lower your body temperature drastically. So just don't do it. Anyway, I think that's about it when it comes to water collection, just the different methods of how to do it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this sort of content, please make sure to check out my channel. I've got more videos like this. If you enjoy this sort of content, make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. And as always, be safe and have fun.